Here we are at Pan M360 with Owen Underhill, who is involved with a very special project of the Société Musique Contemporaine du Québec that's going to be presented very soon in Montreal regarding also a piece of Sandeep Bhagwati. Owen, bonjour.
Bonjour.
So we reached you on the West Coast this morning, and you're going to be in Montreal very soon regarding a very special project with the SMCQ. So can you just tell us the way it has been built at first and the way it developed?
Yes, well, we were contacted by actually Sandeep Bhagwati and another composer from the Montreal area that we've worked with several times, Farangis Nurulla-Khoja. And we were contacted about the year of homage that SMCQ is doing with the music of Sandeep Bhagwati, and would we have an interest in doing some of his music? And so had several meetings with Sandeep. He was really interested in us doing his epic piece, RAZAS. And we, it really fits into the kind of music we play. We play everything from the Turning Point Ensemble. We play everything from the last 100 years and quite a bit of new music. And we like to work with composers that maybe have not been played so much in Vancouver, and so Sandeep was really fascinating for us, and we took on that project, and SMCQ invited us to appear in their series.
We don't see SMCQ inviting ensemble most of the time, so it's a special meal this time for the public of the SMCQ, because as I said, most of the time they play with their own ensemble, the pieces of the composers that are invited. But this time you play the main composers of the main composer of this season, Sandeep, and there will be another way of maybe looking about his piece, and another way about playing his piece with different musicians. So can you comment on that?
Yes, well, his piece is actually in modular form, so it's never played the same way twice. So it's sort of in a big diamond. You start at the one corner and you end at the other corner, but there are actually 64 parts to it. So you kind of wend your way through it. And some of the pieces are fully composed. Some of them are partly composed and partly improvised. And so that's another way that it's always different, because there's a fair amount of spontaneity and improvisation built in.
So with your musicians, how do you approach this piece? Are those musicians able, or used to it with improvisation, for example?
Yes, we have some players in our ensemble. Our ensemble is mostly freelancers who just love playing the music, and they're quite versatile. Some of them are actually very fine improvisers. Some even play in the free jazz world as well as in the new music world. So that makes it easier for us to kind of cross genres.
That means also that improvisation music is part of contemporary music now, more and more and more. So we see a lot of excellent classical trained musicians that are able now to be into quote unquote some free jazz or free improv, and sometimes free improv is included in some composers' sketches.
Absolutely, yeah. It's nice the way that things, those worlds just merge more easily these days.
Yeah. And can we see more specifically about this program you're going to present in Montreal? Can we just go and try to describe the challenges of the pieces themselves?
Yes, so we're also doing a new piece by Farangis Nurulla-Khoja. She is a Tajik Canadian composer. She lives just south of the river there in Montreal, and she's a very fine composer. We've done maybe 5 or 6 of her works before. So she wrote this piece for trombone and double bass. It's a double concerto plus our whole ensemble. It's called Betwixt and Between, or Rivière Assoiffée.
Rivière Assoiffée.
Yeah,
River.
thirsty rivers. Yeah, so it is dedicated to displaced people everywhere and refugees, and her music is pretty fascinating. I would say it doesn't sound like anyone else's music. In fact, we did a concert of her music. We called it Sounds Unheard, because that was a quote from her website. So there are a lot of techniques, special techniques, but the way that she merges all the timbres and layers it together, it's, if you closed your eyes, you almost wouldn't know which instruments are playing or how the sounds are being made. So that's a very beautiful and kind of mysterious piece, and we're very excited to play that in Montreal. We also play a piece of Jocelyn Morlock. In fact, it was requested from the SMCQ, and she's a composer. She died about a year ago in her early 50s. And we had commissioned her on a number of times. So we are doing a work of hers called Sartre, which is actually based on Mozart, because it was written for the 250th anniversary of Mozart. So it has all quotations of Mozart, but it's really much also in her own world. So it's quite playful. It's dramatic and funny and serious at the same time. So we're glad to commemorate her with the work, and we're doing one piece of mine, and this piece was written for the very first concert of Turning Point Ensemble. It's called The Widening Gyre, and so it's full of solos, because and different combinations of the group, because everyone in our ensemble also does a lot of solo and small chamber music. So I was imagining sort of ways that all this could be put together in the new sound of our ensemble.
Quite interesting. So can you give us some informations, or just, we have to know more about the Turning Point Ensemble that don't play a lot in Quebec, I suppose, or the East Coast. Maybe yes, but we're not that aware if it's the case. So
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So, I mean, we are not actually only a new music ensemble. So, as I was saying, we also play from, Stravinsky or early 20th century music through to the present day. We try and cross boundaries. So we've appeared in some jazz festivals, and we've done things with Gavin Bryars and John Hollenbeck and other sort of jazz composers that
John Hollenbeck is a professor at McGill now, and he's from New York State.
That's right. And so he wrote for us. We've done a lot with dance and theater as well, and opera even. And we've done 7 recordings now. So they're on a number of different labels. Anna Sokolovic, by the way, we did a recording with her music. And so we've played her quite a bit. We've toured. Last year we were in Croatia, and also in Belgrade in Serbia, and in Spain. We've toured to Asia. So we're getting more and more active now. 20 years that we've been in operation.
It's a long way to be well accepted and having real careers. I suppose it's your own vehicle as a composer too, I suppose.
It is, and that's actually been, for me personally, really quite rewarding, because I've composed a number of pieces for the ensemble over the years, and the ensemble expressed an interest in doing my music from the very beginning. So yeah, it's nice to have a piece done also in Montreal on this concert.
And what are your next project around BC or anywhere else?
Yes, we're working on next year's season, and we are planning a concert featuring Michael Oldfield's music. You may remember Tubular Bells, yes, and Steve Reich's music for 18 instruments. So we're planning that as a kind of remembrance of the mid-70s. Yeah, and we are also doing a special 100th year of Gertrude Stein, who is a poet and writer, and we're doing music that has been written using her words by composers such as the Canadian Peter Hatch. And so those are the kind of projects that we're currently working on.
It's very broad. Finally, you're playing modern music. Sometimes you go even before some other epochs of classical music. So you're not interested in a specific time. You're interested in good music, period.
That's true. And connecting music maybe from the past to the present day, or doing concerts that deal with important issues like refugees, for example. We do things like that as well that are sort of topical
and also progressive, if I understand.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Owen Underhill, I thank you very much for this generous interview, and we wish you a great trip on the East Coast in Montreal, more precisely at the SMCQ special program in the next days.
Yes, May 28th is our concert at Pierre Mercure.
At Pierre Mercure, May 28th. We're going to be there.
Okay, see you there.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.